Hello, everyone. This is David, Fairly Secret Music. I'm doing a response video to Vinylizer John's thread. He wants people to show two bands that have had the same members from their first album all the way till current. My first of the two didn't really break up. Their singer died. A lot of the Canadian viewers will know who I'm talking about, and that is The Tragically Hip. This is their first album. It's just called The Tragically Hip. They were kind of an indie rock thing. I've always thought that they basically sounded like what Pearl Jam really wanted to be, but weren't as good. I don't know. Those might be fighting words. But the band from start to finish was Bobby Baker on guitar, Gordon Downey on vocals, Johnny Fay on drums, Paul Langlois on guitar and vocals, and Gord Sinclair on bass and vocals. The first album I ever got was Up to Here. This is an album that is 100%. This could actually go on my top 10. I'm surprised it wasn't. Oh, World Container was on there. This is like a 100% album. You know, New Orleans is Sinking, 38 Years Old, Boots Or Hearts, Trickle Down, Opiated, has a great line, she makes love hard like the enemy. And another song has this line, fingers and toes, 40 things we share, 41 if you include the fact that we don't care. He has a very unique voice, kind of that Billy Goat's gruff kind of thing that Eddie Vedder had, but just in a way cooler way to me. I think Eddie Vedder is a pretty decent singer, but Gord Downey, he was just like, cannot be replaced. So it was a very sad state of affairs. They made a documentary on his last tour that he did with the band, and just super sad. They did one final DVD. I have an album called One Night in, or a DVD called One Night in Toronto, and that is fantastic. He would talk between songs, and it was recorded before their World Container album, so he was using lyrics that he was working on kind of for in between weird stuff that he would add to songs. Second album, amazing. Road Apples, a lot of people really like Road Apples. I really like the song Fiddler's Green a lot on here, and Cordelia. But I was drumming today, and I just had to put hockey tape on my finger. It's kind of fitting that I'm talking about a Canadian team who often did songs about hockey for some reason. Oh wait, because they're in Canada. Fully Completely is arguably the favorite or possibly best album they did. This has so many awesome songs on it, and it's really hard to read what they are because it's not only in not in order, but it's also in cursive. Courage, Pigeon Camera. Oh my God, Pigeon Camera is amazing. This is the 2-disc version of Fully Completely live album on here, which I don't think I've ever actually listened to. That's pretty sad. Unfortunately, this is a promo version of Day for Night. Day for Night has a great song called Grace 2. They played that on Saturday Night Live, I believe, because Dan Aykroyd was the guest host, and he is from Canada, and he loves the Tragically Hip, so he got them on there. This is one album that I am absolutely unfamiliar with, and I should be familiar with it. Trouble at the Hen House. This is a live album called Live Between Us. Fantastic live album. Probably in my top 10 live albums. Another one that I'm not as familiar with. I love the artwork on this. It's just super cool. Comes in a digipack. And this one is called Phantom Power, if I didn't say that already. All the lyrics are kind of like schematics. And around that time, I was working at a record store and got this cool promo that had one song. Poets was the key song on here, by the way. And then it had Fully Completely and Gift Shop Live. It was just like a CD single. Another one that I'm not high on the list. My Music at Work, and the title track is probably my favorite song on here. Tragically Hip's In Violet Light. I don't know why I'm telling you the band name. I already, these are all Tragically Hip. In Violet Light is another one that it's probably one of the lesser listened to albums. In Between, what is that called? In Between Evolution. So, like, there's a period of about 5 albums where I wasn't listening to them all that much. So when I went back and got into them, I listened to them a few times, but I'm not as familiar as the early ones. This is a greatest hits. It's a 2-disc set called Your Favorites. There is extra bonus tracks on here, but this is a great place to start if you're curious about them, or if you just want to start with one of the best ones, World Container. This was actually produced by Bob Rock, the Bob Rock who did Motley Crue, Metallica, Blue Murder. He wanted to do a album that was the great Canadian rock album, and this thing, so good, so good. Family Band, World Container, You're Not the Ocean, Lonely End of the Rink, another hockey song, maybe more loosely based. Just amazing album. We Are Not the Same. It starts out with a song called Morning Moon, and it just gets, that is an amazing song right from the get-go. But it has Coffee Girl, what is Last of the Recluse, Queen of the Furrows. This is an awesome album. This is the second and last one done by Bob Rock. And this was a kind of a disappointment after the last two. These two, if you are curious, We Are the Same and World Container, you cannot go wrong. They're so great. But give them a listen to on YouTube or whatever before, because you might not dig his voice. This is Now for Plan A. I like the cover. That one and Man Machine Poem is the last one. And they had an amazing career, huge in Canada, and every time somebody from Canada comes into my store, I ask them if they're Tragically Hip fans, just because, they're the only ones who ever know who the hell I'm talking about. So, that was band one. By the way, Gord Downey has solo albums. I have 4 of them. I'm actually missing 1 or 2. I know he did one with comic book artist and writer Jeff Lemire. Here is the other band that I picked. King's X, Out of the Silent Planet. These guys were like nearing their 40s in 1989, 88, when this first album came out. And it was on Megaforce, so it confused all my friends who would listen to it, because it wasn't anything like thrash or anything like that. So originally people said, we don't like King's X, and I listened to them for some stupid reason. Luckily, I saw King's X open up for Blue Murder and Billy Squier, and I was blown away. I saw them on the Gretchen Goes to Nebraska tour, and this is Doug Pinnick on bass and vocals, Jerry Gaskill on drums and vocals, and Ty Tabor on guitar and vocals. Faith, Hope, Love, one of the first albums that I remember absolutely waiting for the day it was released. I've had 3-4 different versions of this. I don't know why I don't ever replace this CD case. It looks like shit. This is the self-titled album, the last one they produced with Sam Taylor. These 4 albums sound very similar in production. If you put them on a mixtape, you don't have to worry about volumes or one sounding different from the other, because all 3 of them sound so similar with the production, and it's fantastic. This was the last album they did really for Atlantic. This is the first one that they did with a different producer, and that producer was Brendan O'Brien. This album ends up being more in line with the live sound that they captured. Doug Pinnick plays 8-string bass, so that fills out things. This is a best of. Normally I don't get best ofs, but there's a couple bonus tracks on here, or unreleased things, so that was the best way. So this might be a good way of seeing if you're interested. Ear Candy. Wait, no, this one also was on Atlantic. So this was the last one on Atlantic, but Atlantic did this best of, I believe, before. Nope. So I should have showed this one after. Train is a great song on that. This is their first one for Metal Blade. This album has Groove Machine. This is Tapehead, and that song is well worth the price of admission, but Over and Over is also really fantastic on this. Second album for Metal Blade, King's X. I don't know why I tell you. Yes, King's X. Please Come Home, Mr. Bulbous. Not one of their better albums. This next 3 are kind of like a lower point. Manic Moonlight, which apparently I found for $1. I don't remember buying that for $1. But this is also on Metal Blade. Sorry, this is like been doing this at 2 in the morning. I just recently got this. I found it used. This is their last one on Metal Blade. Well, no, it's not their last one on Metal Blade. Their last studio album on Metal Blade for... Yep. This is Black Like Sunday, and I think this is older songs that they re-recorded. Not one of the best ones. Live All Over the Place. This is a double live album. I wish they would have done a live album earlier in their career, because Doug's voice has changed over the years. When he was younger, he was hitting notes that it's not even humanly possible, and that is why I think his voice is as different as it is now. They're still great musicians, but Doug's voice has reflected the years of wear and tear on it. This is one that came out, wow, when did 2005. This is Ogre Tones. When I originally left the store that I work at, this one came out soon after it, so it's weird that, you know, it's been so long and they've only done 2 albums. So 2005, Ogre Tones, this is their first one on SPV, or Inside Out, I think, yeah. And they did a new version of Goldilocks on here, which I don't know if was necessary. The song alone on here is awesome. And the last album they did was 11 years ago, and this is King's X, what is that, 15? I don't even know what Roman numeral that is. I think it's 15, I'm not sure. I don't have 15 albums. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, I guess I do. So this album is pretty decent. You can hear the changes. Doug has also been part of KXM with George Lynch and the drummer from Korn, I think, or something like that. He's also been in a band called Grinder Blues, Pinnock, Pridgeon, and Gales, or I can't remember if it Gales. Couple side projects and things like that, but they are still together. I think they are working on an album. King's X, awesome. Tragically awesome. Go ahead and all the guys in King's X have solo albums, at least 2 solo albums for each of them, if not multiple or dozen or so. So hopefully you check out King's X. As I said before, Up to Here, World Container, and We Are the Same. 3 albums by Tragically Hip you should check out. The first 5 albums by King's X are fantastic. Totally check those out. And then, like, Ogre Tones is really cool for a later one. So hopefully that was something that is interesting, and hopefully this is not too long, and goodbye.